I've been putting up YouTube for going on 3 years now about my kidnapping and trying to relay some of the laws broken against me, although most all of them at this time have been, and no one will touch it because who I am. So I'm paying the price for being born. And I want to bring this in too. I've been kept homeless the last years, and I lived at Edinburgh Square here, village. It's a retirement, elderly, and it's a HUD. The only thing I could afford when I can get that, and then I've already put that up on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. I had a woman that lived there in '06 when I lived there briefly. Her husband, she was divorced, her husband was a psychiatrist in Seattle, Washington. How she ended up down there, but she knew who I am, so I assumed it was meant to be, that she was going to get a place there at HUD and live across the hall from me. So she told me, she was a nice person, Carol Rogers Simon. She told me, she said, you're paying for what your relatives have done. And I'm talking about I've been run with chemicals. I was in a political campaign and wrote a book about mind control murders and doctors. And Larry McDonald, U.S. Congressman doctor, was one of them whose plane went down in '83. It was a KL passenger jet. All aboard died. I was flown out to Larry Flint, who helped me in the campaign. And I was out there twice in October of '83 because the person who shot him and killed his attorney in Lawrenceville, Georgia, while I was doing the book in Marietta, was programmed. So there's been quite a few next door to me here at Virginia Tech, and I could go on and on. That's what's going on, is they're being programmed. And some of them are done in pattern because it's invisible and hard to prove. You can't prove it with forensics. So what I wanted to get back to was the being kidnapped, and my family. She was referring to my family that have helped me, and this is German side of my family. And they'll keep have to what they can help. Of course, a lot of them have been knocked off. But Elizabeth Mountbatten is illegal, Windsor. And so was her father, and I put all this up. George VI is illegal. All the treaties illegal they signed. So history was changed when they kidnapped me and took down my father. And I'm going to say this again, he never married Wallace Simpson. The whole thing was contrived by the New World Order, which is in place now, the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Bilderbergers. Elizabeth Mountbatten and her father are members. Well, he's deceased, but the Windsors over there, quite a few of them are members. And so is Hillary Clinton, and you can go back to U.S. presidents, except Jimmy Carter, were members of the Freemasons or New World Order, the Kennedys. So now we'll get back to, so I'm paying for what? I'm paying for being kidnapped, and because I was born who I am, and that's it, plain and simple. You use me as a sounding board for everyone, I suppose. I mean, it's really something, should it ever be told before the world, and you have to watch how people reacted and what they did to me. I'm British. My mother was an American, O'Keefe. That's not why I was kidnapped. I was kidnapped because who my father is and my heritage, and then my children's heritage, which I don't know where they are. Nobody touches it. But so I wanted to get to this. Someone asked me, because I've been putting up on YouTube, that I was kidnapped from Buckingham Palace, and I was in '41, age 2, and brought to Moulton, Alabama, and given the name of twin-peggy and dempsey. I married a Childers. That's a dead person. The twins were killed by their mother, Lina. They were born out of wedlock. And I've put all this up on YouTube, pictures, and the fact that when I still have to use that name, Peggy and Dempsey-Childers. And when I had to get documents a few years back, I found out that the birth certificates of those twins, one of them has been, state of Alabama has Carl deceased. Peggy was fed to pigs, and that's the name, seriously, and that's the name they gave me. Now, I don't know how I got across the pond, way down in Alabama, but there was a air base that Cortland built during the war, and I was kidnapped in 41, and the Kennedy brothers, JFK and Joe, would visit and fly in and stayed at the embassy there a lot. During that time of the takedown of my father and the lies, history has not corrected it, and my kidnapping in 1941. I was born in 39. So I want to get to, since I put that up, and this is brief, what a pigsty is. This place, if you call it a farm, it was 100 acres, way out from anything. In 41, there's no cameras. You had to go into town or into Huntsville or Decatur to get a camera. These people were very poor. That's not the thing. Poor people can be loving and caring. These people knew that their daughter had killed the twins. They'd Peggy to the pigs. I know that because the only boy in that family, there was Lina, that was the twins that killed them, twins' mother. This is a woman who I had to call mother and was so abused. She was a psychopath. But what about the rest of the family if the truth's ever laid out? It is so horrific. But, so they covered it up, and I was placed there, and they gave me the assumed name and stole my identity. So I've had to use it, and I'm still having to use it. Oh, so the woman abused me, the whole family did. There was one boy in the family, James Matthews, who was in the service. He became a master sergeant and retired from the U.S. Army. He was the only boy. I think there were 8 kids in that family. Lina, and he was the only boy, and I could go on, but I put a picture of them up. So I can remember when I was older. I think I was in grade school. I can remember him coming in screaming. I think he came back from the service or something. He said, "But you fed her to the pigs. But you fed her to the pigs." Well, come to find out, she was fed to the pigs, and she would have faced the gas chamber in Alabama. So that's part of what happened when they tried all sorts of things. It was so weird to kill me. So I want to go to what a pigsty is, though. Later, this won't connect, but I can remember we drove up from being away from that farm. This is years later. We had to travel in a wagon, horses pulling it. And we came back, and for some reason, they had 4 or 5 white pigs, which they'd never had before. When they came back, those pigs had been killed, and they were outside the pen and just laid out. So looking back, I'm wondering what somebody knew, But I'm going to try to describe briefly because tape's going to go off. You put a child that's 2 years old from a loving family, or not, in that kind of atmosphere where the abuse was everything in the book. The old man was a nutcase, and I don't mean any discrepancies against mental illness or anything. This man was sadistic. He was a psychopath, too. He was a twin, and twins has a thread through this whole thing, if you follow it or if it's ever told. But he would kill animals in front of me, and it would rip my heart out. It was awful. He did it to be just sick and mean. And the rest of the family didn't, well, let me put it this way. He raped a couple that I know of his daughters. So anyway, they were mean to me. I could get into the horror stories that were done, throwing down, when I wasn't very old, throwing down coals out of the fireplace and making me run over it. And my feet, I passed out.